on PowerPoint and I went to clip art, and I typed in the search, under search, for doctors, and I just wrote in doctors. And there were 83 pictures in my clip art of doctors, and 24 of them had more than one doctor in the picture. I then did teachers, the plural for teacher. I put teachers in, and there were 103 pictures of teachers, and none of them had more than one teacher in it. We don't have a public image of teaching being a collaborative profession. We have an image that teaching is individual, and just the individual does it. Yet, when it's done well, it's done collaboratively. So the article was born out of a sense of frustration that we just haven't moved very quickly to that end. Before we had a set of standards that we worked on, individual teachers created their own standards for their classroom. They created their own assessment. They created their own measure of success based on the assessments. And there wasn't really a compelling need to have a lot of collaboration. Now with a set of standards where all the teachers in the school are driving towards the same place, they're trying to get kids to the same outcome, it only makes sense that they collaborate with each other on how to do that. And I think if we look at where we had the greatest gains, the schools that have had the greatest successes, one of the indicators or one of the markers that has caused that is that they have found ways to collaborate with each other, to watch each other's teaching, to talk to each other about teaching and learning, to score kids' papers together so that they can learn from each other's work. And so I see it as a critical step towards a new kind of schooling, but we've been unsuccessful in trying to move that forward as quickly as we need to. The public's vision of what school and teaching should be like is as important as the public's vision of what professional football should be like. When the Seahawks had their practices, the public came down to watch. They were interested in it. Not only did they think that money should be spent on them practicing together, but they went down and watched them do it. It was expected that happened. But in teaching, in the profession of teaching, the public expectation is that all the time that the teacher spends be spent with kids. And any time we start to deviate from that, then we have to try to justify that and recreate in people's minds what the new profession looks like. I think that we're at a point where, particularly if you look at the result of No Child Left Behind and the image that is showing in public schools, that more and more schools are not making adequate yearly progress. While they are progressing considerably, they're not making adequate yearly progress. I think that there is, I think the time is right for an onslaught onto the public confidence of public schools just because of the language around No Child Left Behind. And so I think that's one of the things that's compelling us to go in this direction. I think that we know much more about what good instruction is now. And so we know that we can jumpstart at a greater rate the improvement of learning by having teachers work with each other. There's plenty of evidence that shows that that's the case. So why not move in that direction? If you look at some of the work that WA has done around professional learning communities, they really have set the stage nationally for providing resources to help teachers and principals move in the direction of collaboration. PLCWashington.org is a great resource, and Washington is getting attention from around the nation for that particular website. Yet if you look at some of the most recent teacher strikes or near teacher strikes, one of the sticking points has been who owns the little scraps of time that are not spent teaching. Is it the individual teacher, or is it the organization itself? And unfortunately, if it's the individual teacher, there's no time that can be devoted to collaboration. So I don't think we've necessarily done a good job internally inside the profession of saying this is what the profession should be today, and we're going to work in every way that we can to make it happen, to help people understand that the teacher that's in schools today has a different role than the teachers that we had when we were kids. I think first of all, principals need to build a culture that reinforces it. It creates opportunities for collaboration, reinforces collaborative work, showcases collaborative work. There are some resources in PLC Washington to help principals do that. Now, there are a number of principals who are in schools where that culture already exists. The school is rich with examples of collaboration. I think in situations like that, it's a matter of getting in and watching the collaboration happen and sharing the successes from one group of teachers to another as to what's going on, and moving teachers to higher levels of examination of their practice, examination of kids' work, working on teaming together about how they can help individual kids. I think that some principals are at a place where they can take it to a higher level. Others are in a place where collaboration hasn't been the norm. There have been meetings, have been doing other things, but they haven't gotten to the norm of examining teachers' practice the way doctors watch each other and do surgeries. It just isn't part of that culture. And so principals need to start broaching the subject with teachers and finding ways to incentivize teachers to working with each other and at least having common conversations about where things are going. I think things like end-of-course assessments are a nice, easy first step into, if we have a common assessment, then we've got a reason to talk about the results of the assessment. And then once that happens, then the conversations can grow from there. But I think they have to find some time, small as it may be, to start analyzing what they're teaching and how the kids are doing.